Good afternoon, everyone. May I now request Ms. Shalini Nambiar to please start the session's proceeding.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, a very warm welcome from School News, Mad About Ed, and STAR, Samarthya Teachers Training Academy for Research. I think if you can put yourself on mute, there's a lot of disturbance, some of you. Thank you so much. What is important, it's a very interesting session, and I really want to thank the way the formatting of the session has been done. So let me give you briefly, we are going to have 2 sessions of 50 minutes. And in the end, we'll have a summary session where each of the moderator from the 2 sessions is going to share the key takeaways and what we have learned in the 2 sessions. And of course, we have the glitterati of educators in both the sessions, and really excited to, looking forward to an enriching session. So if I was to, the first session is about exploring and learning new age instructional systems. What is very important when we talk about, I'll just take a minute to explain, share my thoughts. When we're talking about learning new age instructional system, one quote which comes in my mind: if a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. And 2 important questions, while preparing an instructional design, we all talk about the 21st century skills. What is very important to understand, who is this generation? Who are the children we are trying to teach? These are the digital savvy people. They are the surfers and scanners. They are not readers and digesters. They expect constant and immediate feedback. So you need to do that. They want directions over subtlety. They are technologically savvy, but crave personal contact. Always hurried, they know what they want, and they want to learn. So when we are trying to design how we are going to teach them, another important point to remember: how do the learners retain whatever we are teaching in a classroom? So this is based on a lot of research. 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, and 50% of what they see and hear, 70% of what they see as they talk, and 90% of what they say as they do a thing. So what is more engaging? The teachers, while designing this, need to remember that. Teachers need to teach through a variety of channels, adopt the feedback system so that what we are doing, is it right or no? Because this is the generation, as I said, they also want instant feedback. It is important because instructional, how we are planning a classroom interaction, we may plan it in the most effective manner, but that's one important thing to keep in mind. How is the connect of a teacher with the student? Because that builds the base for any kind of learning which we are trying to implement there and aiming to achieve the learning outcomes which we have planned. Very important, create focused, customized program. It should encourage more student participation, sets clear and measurable objectives, creates consistency, simplifies learning for students. There are several models on which instructional designing has been based. But three important points again: clear goals and objectives, learning activities, and assessment, what I call the magic triangle of learning. And all the three need to be interdependent to get the most effective learning outcome. Of course, you will be, as we go through the session, we have experts will be talking, but yeah, there are a lot of examples of instructional design models, Bloom's taxonomy, which we are most familiar with in India, but there is also ADDIE model, iterative design, SAM model, learning circle framework. There are thousands of them. And you know, whatever you may say, I've traveled all over the world, I've used a lot of them, tried and practiced different kind of instructional design. But let me tell you in very, very simple words, what really plays the crucial part in the classroom is how well you are connected with the child. So thank you so much, all of you, for listening to me. And I'm going to now pass the baton to the moderator for this first session, Ms. Urvashi Warman, Principal, the Palace School, Jaipur. And along with her, the speakers she'll have in her session are Dr. Brahmjot Kaur, Dr. Eshwari Prabhakar, Mr. Rakesh Chukkapalli, and just 1 minute, sorry, please, I think, can you hear me? I'm so sorry. Okay, and Ms. Ritu Sharma. I look forward to a very interesting session, and over to you, Urvashi. The floor is all yours.
Namaskar, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Shalini ji. And that was a perfect start you gave for this event. I think it's going to be very exciting and very, very interesting. And well, once again, I welcome all of you to this event today.
Session 1.
Somebody has, you have to mute. May I request the participants kindly put yourselves on mute. Thank you so much. So here we are ready for another exciting episode of EdFridays Season 2. And today's topic is, as Shalini ma'am just said, exploring and learning new age instructional systems. So new age instructional systems, we'll be hearing a lot about it in a short while. So in this era of anytime, anywhere learning system, where so much of digital technology has come in, and it's all technology driven pedagogy now. So what is it? Are we in? Is this permanent? Will it be for a short while? Is it here to stay? How is it affecting us? Is it good? Is it bad? So we're going to have a very interesting discussion around this topic. And for this, we have a very eminent panel of educators with us today. I'd like to introduce our panel of educators. And so first we have with us Dr. Eshwari Prabhakar. So Dr. Eshwari Prabhakar is the principal of Delhi Public School, Anandram, Visakhapatnam, a lady of extraordinary virtues and values. She is an academician with 30 years of experience. Under her able guidance, her school is one of the model schools in India. Dr. Prabhakar is the recipient of several awards. Her name has also been recommended for Ambassador of World Peace. So, welcome, ma'am, to this show today. And next, we have with us Dr. Brahma Jodhpur. She is the Joint Director of Avadh Collegiate, Lucknow. She has an honorary doctorate from University of Central America. So she has about 10 years of experience in the field of education. She started her career as a teacher and is now looking after administration. Means she's got the entire spectrum of education with her as her basket of experience, we can say. Her school has completed 30 years and has 6 campuses in the city of Lucknow with about 10,000 students. Wow. And she is also the recipient of several awards for her work in the field of education. Welcome to Dr. Brahmjot Kaur. Next, we have Mrs. Ritu Sharma. Mrs. Ritu Sharma has been associated with the field of education for more than 25 years. A passionate educator, she has worked for some of the finest educational institutes in the country. She has a zeal to keep abreast with all the latest developments in the field of education. Currently, she is heading Delhi Public School,
Ms. Urvashi, there's a lot of disturbance. Can I tell the organizers to ask everybody to mute themselves?
Yes.
We can't hear. Vinay, can you just, can you mute it from the admin side, please? Thank you. Thank you, Urvashi. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Shalini ma'am. And of course, our next panelist is Mr. Rakesh Chukkapalli. He is the director of Delhi Public School, Amaravati, and International School in Guntur. Hailing from a family of entrepreneurs, Mr. Rakesh Chukkapalli's foray into the field of education stems for his love to always be a learner. He is passionate about helping and guiding young entrepreneurs. With the government's drive to encourage innovation and entrepreneurship among students, Mr. Chukkapalli's mentorship is sure to go a long way. So as you can see, we have got very eminent educationists from all over the country here. And I think it's time for us to begin our talk today. So are we ready, all the panelists? And my first question would be directed towards Dr. Eshwari Prabhakar. Dr. Eshwari Prabhakar?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what is your take on new age instructional systems?
Thank you, Urvashi, ma'am. And today, really, it's an amalgam of thoughts we are going to have about the new age instructional system. See, everybody's perception towards education is different. Even the new age instruction system, as far as I'm concerned, would be different from those who are there, because everybody will have their own view of instructions. So the new age is a time of change, and COVID has taught us what a change is. A time when we are at the brim of a new era in education. In COVID, the day we all came to know that there's a lockdown, suddenly the teachers had to shift the mode of transaction of the teaching learning methodology from one platform to the other platform. As we are at this age are not the natives of technology, but still worked hard. Each and everybody worked hard to come to this new age. So here, whether technology or not the technology, as this new age, the children are the natives of technology. They are 3 steps ahead of us. So teachers need to adjust their teaching methods to accommodate this shift and take advantage of these opportunities for growth. So COVID has given an opportunity for the new age technology. It's been said, it's like Shalini ma'am rightly put it up. If children don't understand the way you teach the way they understand. You know, the teacher who tries to teach what they know, trust me, is no longer an expert, but rather he or she becomes an engager who is engaging the children. Teachers should teach through variety of channels. The new age children, would go towards, internet, which has made knowledge more accessible than ever before, right? And then students are no longer limited to one teacher. Like whatever the teacher teaches, I think my video, whatever the teacher teaches is no more what you say, a book or whatever it is. But the children are 2 steps ahead than the teacher. So the internet has given them a lot of things to explore. This means that the teacher needs to be able to adopt different communication styles. She needs to understand the different styles of multiple intelligence. She needs to look into the Bloom's taxonomy and not just rely on her voice or in-person lessons. She needs to integrate. And feedback system is required. Very important. Feedback from the parents, from teachers, from peers. Constructive criticism is very, very important. You should have a clear rubrics when you're getting to a class with standard clarity, listed. Why are you taking up this class? What all, tools you're using for it? How are you engaging the children with a dialogue with multiple intelligence keeping multiple intelligence in mind, how do you initiate a dialogue with the parents? And then they provide the opportunity for students to reflect on their achievements, trigger their creativity. Now, how digitalization has changed the teaching methods? Every chapter, every topic has been connected to this digital era. The new age era, the pedagogy is a digital age pedagogy. So it's no surprise that the shift towards new learning is largely due to digitalization. Like a teacher, one topic is taken, n number of videos are available on the YouTube, the digitalization. The teacher can explore that for this particular child or this particular intelligence or the learning style, I can get into this particular video and then have a collaborative kind of learning. Now, the methods the teacher should keep in mind, very important. Kindly. First is intuitive teaching method. What does it say? When the teacher gets into the class, she needs to engage the students and she needs to sense the requirement of the student. That intuitive sense if a teacher has, automatically the learning becomes an effective and efficient learning. The second one is you should have a creative teaching method. Very creative. Students should be given an opportunity to be creative. And students, to be encouraged through project-based learning, experiential learning, imaginative plays, and then by project-based learning. Then personalized teaching method. So intuitive, creative, and personalized. Each child is different. The learning styles are different. The pace at which the child is learning is different. So each child's need to be personalized and make the worksheets accordingly. So what you want to teach, they will not understand. So personalize, look into the multiple intelligence, competency-based, and look into the pace of learning of the child and give personalized teaching and learning methodology. Theme-based learning, theme-based teaching method. Integrate art into the teaching. Like one topic from English to science can go on theme-based, especially for the little ones. You take the kindergarten, every month you have a theme and make your teaching for each subject based on that theme. And I promise that children will come out, these new age children will come out with flying colors. Content-based teaching methods. Content has to be given very, very importance. And then when you're looking into the content part, measure the learning outcome, SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, and time-bound. The content also to be like that, the SMART goals, project-based teaching methodology, online teaching presentations. Like, suppose a chapter is there and a topic is given in the class, give bits of the topics, make into groups and give it to each child. Let them present, because the peers are presenting, the children will have more focus, more than the teacher teaching. So have this online presentation after school hours program. Finally, as far as I'm concerned, I would like to say that it is important to consider the students learn best. How much you're teaching is not important. What you're teaching is very, very important. If you're not sure, try out some other method, but see that learning is happening by using variety of tools. This is what I would like to just tell about my thoughts of new age instructional learning. Thank you.
Wonderful, Dr. Eshwari Prabhakar.
Thank you.
That was very well put together. So, Shalini ma'am had spoken about instructional design also when she was talking about the instructional system. So, would you tell us in brief, would there be a difference between instructional systems and instructional design?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there is a thin margin. There's only a very small, bifurcation. If I talk about instructional design and instructional system, instructional design is basically how you put together your curriculum. The scope is exactly what topics you will cover in the class. Sequence of the topics will be covered, how they are delivered, and how long will be spent on each topic, and how understanding will be assessed. This is basically the design you're going to do. The instructional system is the means of delivery. How are you going to deliver? Deliver in many types. The textbook, living books, project-based learning, solving puzzles, which I'm just talking about, the new age one. So when we talk about how instructional design can be used, is basically for improving the effectiveness and efficiency, and to identify the gaps in the learning that might be of the skill or the knowledge. To fill in the gaps, these two-phased, training has to take place among the teachers, that what has to be done and how has to be done.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I think on a lighter vein, all our teachers need to be instructional designers now.
Yes, absolutely. So they need to design the curriculum.
Yes.
They need to identify the gap, what needs to be accomplished, and then designing a way to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right. First, the teacher has to know what is the learning outcome, how they are going to be accomplished, and how do you design a way or to give a tool to the teacher to get it accomplished. So this system also caters to the specific development in teaching and learning. Okay, suppose 4 or 5, I'll just tell you about the instructional designs. You can say interactive collaboration. It is one of the instructional designs, right? Gathering feedback, active learning, social learning. There are many things which comes under the instructional design. To pen down few, I have just spoken about 2 or 3. Project-based learning. These are all things which we thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Prabhakar. We'll be getting back to you shortly. I would like to ask Dr. Brahmjot Kaur. Dr. Brahmjot Kaur, would you like to add on to any other types of instructional systems? Would you like to elaborate more upon it?
Okay. Hello, Urvashi ma'am, and a very good afternoon to all the team School News and all the members who have participated today and are listening to us today's afternoon on EdFridays, and special thanks to Ravi sir and Kritika for organizing this beautiful webinar. And yes, Urvashi ma'am, there are many types of instructional based teaching methods which we can actually tell the teachers to go through. Most importantly, we have content-based and project-based, which ma'am was talking about right now. Then we have some interesting ones like integration of sports and art into the teaching methods. That can be, a very good way of making instructional teaching a part and parcel of our, teaching methods. Shared reading, case studies, and, group studies. And all these are small things which we can do to integrate the whole instructional system into our schools. Graphic designing, journal writing, presentations, making of presentations by the students itself, giving them small tasks like printing out things and making the presentations which we require, and journal writing is one of them, graphic designings, and doing small tasks, because instructional system focuses on doing small things and at a specified pace. The pace is not supposed to be too much, and the pace has to be regulated. And moreover, the output has to be measured. That is, the pre-assessment and the post-assessment evaluation is more important as far as the instructional design is concerned. So these are the few things. Also, critical reading and creativity is also certain types of instructional designs which we talk about. Book talks and reading of books, storytelling, all these are parts of instructional design system. So these are certain types of instructional designs which we can take as a part and parcel of our system to give better output to students, because the whole concept of instructional system is to lessen the rote learning concept amongst our children, and to come up with concepts which are more fulfilling, more memory retaining is there, and they do not easily forget the whole thing which they have, not mugging up, but just those activities which help the child retain stuff for a longer time, and for it's more life learning rather than just mugging up and presenting it on a piece of paper after learning for some time. So these are the concepts, any concept which fits into this agenda of not just memorization, but more output which the child can produce rather than just on the piece of paper, is what we call instructional systems. So these are the types, and rest you can ask whatever you want.
Yeah, and could you also tell us what goals should be kept in mind when we are designing an instructional system? Are there any specific strategies, principles that we can utilize towards a specific goal?
Yeah, we have certain goals and we have certain strategies and principles which can be looked after, which can be seen to once we the educators or maybe the teachers are presenting the instructional system into the schools, is that it should be more community based. It should be the time specific, as there should be small time gaps which should be given, and when the formative assessments and the summative assessments are taking place, that should be pre-assessed and post-assessed, and the teacher must have an idea as to what exactly the child is going to perform and how exactly the child is going to perform, which is the whole idea of pre-assessment and post-assessment. So that is
more. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Could you elaborate more on what do you mean by a pre-assessment, post-assessment? I think most people understand. What would come under pre-assessment?
So there are many children in our classrooms who have difficulty with reading or maybe difficulty with writing. So we need to focus more on, the techniques which can be applied to students wherein they have problems in maybe some child is not very comfortable with oral assessment, or maybe some child is not very comfortable with written assessments. So the teacher personally should be clear as to what kind of assessment which child is comfortable with, because it's not always that all the children are into written tests or all the children are into verbal tests, or maybe case study is not good with certain students. So pre-assessment is just analyzation and designing by the teachers for the students, and they must have a brief idea as to how exactly the assessment has to take place for the child. And also there can be a peer-to-peer feedback session before we actually begin with the assessments, like other children analyzing their classmates, and that will help into a lot of interaction also, and some feedback to the teacher also as to what exactly the children are into. So it's very important to know in your set of class of 30 or 40 students that what is the categorization of students they are the child is looking for. Maybe, I was very good with Viva and oral assessment, and I was not very great with the written assessments. So that is the categorization and the pre-assessment we are actually talking about.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Brahmjot Kaur. I would like to now ask something from Ritu ma'am. So Ritu ma'am, we all know that the educational system is undergoing a huge transformation. A lot of changes are coming in. And till some time back, it was the teacher who was the pivot of the entire focus. But now it seems to have changed. So would you agree that there is a need for this change, that there is a need for this shift? And should we really be exploring the new instructional systems that are there? Ritu ma'am? Is Ritu ma'am there?
Yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry, Urvashi ma'am. Good afternoon. I did not, put my mic
Okay.
off the mute. Okay. Yeah. See, basically, I would like to say that we belong to a fortunate generation, where we are at the advantage that we are standing at a point from where we can learn from our mistakes, and at the same time, we can plan a better future. And we are the product of an age-old education system where we survived. We could do well for ourselves, but we are struggling in the 21st century. The methods used by us are old, redundant, outdated. Now the pedagogies need to be upgraded, and our way of thinking also needs to undergo a drastic change, as both Brahmjot ma'am and Eshwari ma'am did say. And there is a learning gap between our pupils and today, and it's a wide one. Our present students have been born in the age of information. They are called the digital natives. They know everything. And sometimes we also look at them and the information is at their fingertips. So, what I was thinking is they need direction. And we are the ones who can give them the direction. The teachers need to create and nurture the right attitude in them, towards learning, gathering knowledge, and its application in the real life. See, we need to be like a sieve for them. What is the thing? They are flooded with numerous information, but there has to be some limit. Sometimes they go haywire. They are not channelized. So this is where the right attitude towards learning has a very strong and direct impact on the student's future, and we can help them. Now the focus has to shift from teacher-centric system to student-centric system, and the education system needs to cater to their needs and requirements. This is what I feel, Urvashi ma'am, and we are only facilitators. I still remember 10 years back when we used to have workshop and they used to say you are a facilitator. I used to be, awestruck. I said, why facilitator? We are giving them the knowledge, but actually this has come now. It's just the job of furnishing them with information, and we are the teachers who are going to direct them. We are going to change our teaching pedagogies and new instructional system. This is what I feel,
That's right. That's very well said, ma'am. So what strategies do we need to plan for adapting to these new instructional systems? And do you think will this work in the long run?
Yes, they will, ma'am. Actually, what is happening is, earlier what was happening is it was student-centric, as I said, but now it was teacher-centric, now it is student-centric. And we had some precursors, if you remember, that when we saw that movie Tare Zameen Pe, Three Idiots, we thought, what are they talking about? See, you and I hail from Jaipur, and we have worked on it right from the beginning. So we knew, yes, definitely there has to be some change. And the extensive discussion on the lacuna of the present education system provided this basis for this information. And it did somewhere strike a chord that we have to move towards revamping our systems and overhauling our teaching methodologies. It's a gradual and slow process. We can't say, like, I feel NEP is a very good system which has been introduced, but it's got a huge umbrella that the seeds have been sown, but now we are working. A generation has to be tutored in the respect, and only then we'll be able to witness, the change, which from teacher-centric to student-centric will come, and the miracle will happen. The students are currently into the system. They will have to relearn, unlearn. Even the teachers have to unlearn certain things, because earlier they just used to go and say, no, this is what is right. But now they have to. But what I feel are tiny tots who will join this new system and improved system of education will take it to like water. And they will basically be the best masterpieces. And Right now, the children who are learning, they have to be slow. They cannot be flooded with information. We have to help them out. This is what I feel.
Right, ma'am.
And
Wonderful.
actually, I'm not putting up what Eshwari ma'am and Brahmjot ma'am have already said, because that would be again, reinforcing and reiterating what they have already said.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you. Thank you so much, Ritu ma'am. Dr. Brahmjot Kaur, I would like to get back to you with another question. What challenges do you think educators are likely to face when they are implementing the new age systems in the schools? Do you think it's going to be an easy task? Are they already doing it or in the process? Are they likely to face any challenges? Dr. Brahmjot Kaur?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So, ma'am, as we see that, as ma'am was just saying that since we were following a lot of redundant methods of teaching, and now what has happened is that all of a sudden educators are, under this impression that we have to do experiential learning, blended learning, 21st century skills, and, instructional systems have changed. So there are too many concepts which are roaming around education these days. So, it's not very easy for educators and teachers alike to kind of understand all the concepts and segregate amongst them. And then even if you know the concept, it's a little difficult to implement the concept and, how exactly to implement it, what are the principles and what are the strategies of implementing a particular concept into the system. So these are some practical problems which I personally feel the teachers face. Because if you tell them, okay, last 2 years, you tell them what blended learning is, you tell them how, what activity-based teaching is, what are happy schools, how to manage, anger, and then you come up with the instructional systems as well, as we are talking today. So the thing is that teachers personally, they get maybe a little burdened or maybe confused also about the different, the different principles and the different concepts we are coming with. So it's not very easy to integrate all of that first into the lesson plan. Then for the school or educators to kind of train your teachers for the same. Then the third one can be, if the teachers are trained also, there can be confusions for all the concepts and what two concepts, there is linking between the concepts as well. So how exactly to segregate and differentiate between the two concepts, and what exactly is to be done in the lesson plan, how it is supposed to be delivered in the classroom. And if they are actually doing it also, whether they are getting the feedback from the students or not. And just ensuring that the students are also not feeling confused at what exactly my teacher is trying to do. Initially we used to just go through the chapter, do the activities, question answers, and we were done with the chapter. Now, since so many concepts are there, the teachers are also confused, like what exactly are they supposed to do with the chapter? So how exactly is this supposed to be implemented in the classroom?
How
that training
overcome this, ma'am? How can they overcome these challenges? Yes, you're right. These are problems which are being faced by the educators. There's much confusion amongst the teachers because they are now teaching in the way.
Good evening, sir. Namaste, Andy, sir.
Yeah.
And Japan, sir.
So yes, Urvashi ma'am, so we can
అవునా మేము ఈ రోజు ఎగ్జామ్ అని చెప్పాను కదా సార్ దాంట్లో బిజీగా ఉన్నాం తర్వాత ఫోన్ నాది కనెక్ట్ మీరు వాట్సాప్ మెసేజ్ పెట్టవలసింది సార్ నాకు
If you can mute people, Vinayji, please, because we can't hear what Urvashi is saying then. If we can just have, kindly, it's a request everybody to please mute yourself, and as the moderator takes your name, please unmute yourself. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Yes,
ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, so as I was saying, ma'am, that there is much confusion amongst the teachers. You're absolutely right. And
yes.
It is because they are now teaching in the way they were never taught before.
Exactly. Yeah.
Neither were they trained in the B.Ed college to do this. So
exactly.
Everything is like literally hands-on. So how can they overcome these challenges?
So I personally feel that, last year also and this year also, May, June, was the time when, CBSE is also organizing a lot of 1-hour sessions, training sessions for their teachers. They have also come up with applications for the same. So I personally feel that that is a very good initiative by CBSE board to train the teachers, because I am also taking those trainings. So it always gets easier because they give you pointers and they give you a lot of insight into how exactly a concept is supposed to be implemented in the school. Since Avadh Collegiate is a purely CBSE school, so we have a state board, but then majorly all the branches are CBSE. So we have inculcated like art integration, sports integration, skill-based education in our schools. So that has given us a good feedback because that kind of increases the practical knowledge of the students. So since we as a school were not able to implement or maybe tell the teachers exactly about what exactly art integration is, what is experience-based learning, what is blended learning, or what is instructional systems. So it is easier when the board takes the responsibility of training the teachers. So that is the first step which is there to take in terms of getting the teachers trained. Because if teachers are trained properly and they know the difference of the concepts, they can apply it in the classroom. Then again, if the concept is applied in the classroom, it comes on to the educators or the school leaders to see which concept works for their children, which is having what kind of feedback. Because as we see that in instructional based teaching or systems, we have community based learning or peer-to-peer interaction is there, or maybe group study is there, or book talks or shared reading or project based learning, graphic learning, journal writing, as I was talking earlier. So all these concepts have to be implemented and seen that there should not be too much of that as well. And then the pressure from parents also comes up that hamare bachche ko apne, the spoon feeding has to be there, that the teacher has to do the question answers, the teacher has to complete the course and the syllabus on time. So there is a lot of pressure from the parents also that why have you changed the whole thing, because then the children also get confused. So there should be a proper hierarchy where the educators first should be clear about the concepts, then the teachers, and then the training has to happen. And then after the training also, once the implementation is happening in the school, then the principal needs to take care of the whole process as to what is the feedback of each concept and how exactly the concepts are going along with teachers and the students, and then again the parents, because you need to take parents orientation to explain them why have you exactly changed the whole pattern and the system of delivering the chapters or maybe the syllabus of the students. So we are aware that these are the principles and strategies which we are looking for, but then how exactly it is supposed to be given to the teachers, and then so that it goes to the end of the system, that is very important, rather than we just discussing about it, because implementation in the classroom is more important, and how it is supposed to be done and how can we overcome those challenges is a far more bigger picture, rather than we just being aware about the concept. So that I personally feel is a challenge which we need to overcome.
Yes, I agree with you. I think what you have said is very relevant, that training is the key. And it's only after training can the teachers get clarity of thought. And that will little have a direct bearing on the planning part.
Yes.
And once the planning is good, then the implementation happens automatically. And also, very rightly said, parents are equally important stakeholders. So even it's important to keep them oriented and abreast with what changes are happening, because we do have parents walking in and saying, ki, what are you doing? I mean,
correct.
They want their children to study the chapter from the first to the last line, do the question answers and fill in the blanks that they given at the end of the chapter, and that's it. Yes. So it is important to get the parents into the loop. Otherwise, it will not be very successful. So very rightly said, Brahmjot ma'am.
Thank you, Rishi ma'am.
So we get to you now, Mr. Rakesh Chukkapalli. So this question is for you. Are you there, Mr. Rakesh Chukkapalli?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there. Yeah, hi.
Right, sir. Hi, sir. So do you think new age instructional systems have blurred the boundaries between the teacher and the taught?
I actually totally disagree with that point. And I think, in fact, the boundaries have even increased now. I think now teachers can interact with a lot more people, and students also can interact with a lot more teachers. It's not just one teacher, because if for a year, if you are fixed with one teacher, you have to be with that teacher only. Now, because of this new age, this thing, I think you can immediately shift to a new teacher also. That's from the student point of view. And I think from the teacher point of view and a management of school point of view, I think now we have to even more and more conscious on what we are doing, because in this process, we are also learning how to handle them. So it is almost it is learning happening from both sides. Usually it's like the kids only learn. Now we are in an era where both of us are learning. So I think, and I strongly believe the boundaries have even bigger now, because I think now probably people from Andhra can also learn from Jaipur, or in fact from a different country also, a teacher from a different country, only because of this. So I believe the boundaries have gone up.
I guess we're saying the same thing, but in different ways. So that's what I meant when we say there's no boundary between the teacher and the taught. Today, the teacher is equally a learner. And there are times when she ends up learning simultaneously when the learning is happening for the child. Right. Instruction is being given out. So
the boundaries I was talking about is the student from one location is connected to a very long, farther location, so that he could have that experience. Because usually what happens is, when you're studying in certain zone, usually mostly your teachers are also from that zone. Yes. So now, because of this, I think you can always have, if not every day, a teacher from a different state, different country, different continent can connect and share her experience, how schools are happening there, because everybody is adapting. It's not that only India is adapting or something, but I think everybody is adapting. So I think that way, I think it's a bigger boundary now for us.
That's true. In fact, I think there are no boundaries left anymore.
True, very true.
So we've become one big global family of education.
True, yes, ma'am. Yeah, true, very true, ma'am.
I completely agree with you. So that brings me to the next question. How do you perceive the teaching learning scenario to be 30 years down the line? We are seeing so much of changes today also. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think the changes we are seeing today, one could have ever imagined in the pre-COVID era, So as I say, now it is like we used to say before Christ, after Christ. Now it's going to be
true.
Pre-COVID and post-COVID.
One thing which I actually could connect with this question very recently was, I at times just joined few online courses also post-COVID, because I got used to doing that. I also joined one or two. I saw 55-year-old grandmom joining an English class. And I was curious and asked her, "Ma'am, why do you think you want to learn English now?" She said, "My grandson is from US. Joined an English class." So I see, and so now I see as a probably director of a school, I see now, I think I have lot big opportunities also. Probably there is an Indian also sitting in my hometown who want to learn English because he want to communicate somebody outside India. So I think now, because of this COVID, I think we have a bigger market of how we can. It's not only physical schooling will always be there. I believe physical school it will continue for sure, because you need a good teacher, you need a good mentor, and I think that we also we look, as I think one of our principal ma'am told, you see and learn, and you actually appreciate somebody and learn, and you just learn by just teaching also. I think it will be more like you look at somebody and learn more than just simply learning just by teaching, preaching, or whatever. So I think now all the schools' responsibility is get into a lot of online teaching, online programs, so that do you want to do a course in IIT Madras? It's an online course. So I think similarly, why can't a school also start a small? It may not be an IIT program. A school can start probably agriculture, something related to agriculture. It may not be the biggest fancy. I mean, that's going to be the new fancy industry which is coming forward. So I think at least at least learn few basics. Like when I ask my child, "Where do you get milk?" She said it's from the grocery store. She never said it's from a buffalo. So then I said the buffalo is actually giving milk for its baby, not for you. The answer she gave me back was, no, it is giving it for me, not for them. She's a 5-6-year-old, so that's probably what her thought process is. So similarly, I think the opportunities which are coming are too high and too big. Institutions, we have to be very ready to give out a lot of programs so that a lot of people will connect. And moving forward, we may have a little decline of physically students coming in. I see only that because I think homeschooling was there for a very, very long time. Homeschooling was, but nobody opted because mom and dad are working, so they don't have time for their child. Mom and dad are not that educated, so they don't want to risk a home tuition. But now I am actually getting to know a lot of people who want to do homeschooling with their child because they think they are even better when it comes to training them, because they could choose what teacher they want, they could choose where they want, they can do probably 2 subjects from one place and 2 subjects from another place. That's how they are thinking on. And write an exam as a home tuition or a home coaching exam. So I think I always, and one thing which I actually saw was, why can't we have, and I was talking to my school principal and all my teachers also, why can't we have in the evening? Why can't we close the school faster? If we can only extend the school for having more games, let's do homework online. We will ask our kids to connect back again at 6 or 7 in the evening. Half an hour, 45 minutes, let them all do their homework so that everything is covered. When they're coming to school, let them play, let them enjoy, let them know the basics, let them just get nurtured to be a good human being. And the most important, which I would actually request my teachers, which in our school is, these days because of phones, I think kids are actually not expressing themselves properly. Expressing is actually come down to a very, very bad level. So if we could actually train our kids to express what they want, what they need, I think that is one good thing which we could do. And schools will definitely be there. Only this thing is we have to be future ready and always be prepared now I think we must start accepting a lot of online students for the school survival or whatever. We have to start doing a lot of online programs and online habituations, whatever we're doing. And I think I am a strong believer you need a guru at school and a child have to go to a school. But just in case, you can also have a online guru too with a very good guardian.
Excellent. That was very interesting to hear your thoughts, Mr. Chukkapalli. And so I think I now leave this open to the panel. So Mr. Chukkapalli says schools are definitely required. So is there anybody who would like to disagree, or they think that probably in another 30, 40 years down the line, school or school building would be redundant? So who would like to speak on this?
So here, ma'am, Eshwari here. What Sir said, I'm really very much impressed with his thought process, because his thought process, is matching with my thought process. So as a principal, I always tell my teachers, why always you tell the children, say, try, do this, take them out. If you're teaching, plant chapter, take them out to a garden. Let them have a net with them and collect the butterflies. And in that you teach them, plants and all, the topic, whatever it is. So as far as Sir is concerned, his thought process, everything is fine. And ma'am, the question which you have asked, that down the lane in 30 years, it need not to be there. A school concept can be there, but a particular, place where the learning is happening need not to be there. A child can go to a particular place where he can learn only exploring. He can only explore about scientific facts. He can go to the other place where he can learn about heritage. So there need not be a particular place, one place where all the concepts are there and goes to the school and learns everything. Maybe in 30 years, I think it will go as hybrid. 2 days you come to school, do your assignment, show your face to the teachers, and then, talk to your teachers, and then go back home and connect to them online. I feel so after 30 years, this would be the scenario. Now, how it is going on, because open schooling concept is literally increasing day by day. The number of students who are opting for homeschooling and COVID time, I tell you, ma'am, most of the students, because they came to us for, inquiring about how open schooling would function. So the concept of schooling will definitely take a paradigm shift from what it is now to another 30 years.
Right. Ma'am, there's a question which has come in from one of the participants, Arun Varhad Pandey. He says, how can we prepare to be future ready when does not know what is in store in the future?
Absolutely. What we are learning today, what we are teaching the children today will be really obsolete when they will go to that age, Total, even the technology would change. The iPhone, what we are using today, spending a lot of money and taking a new phone, before we get used to it, what are the features in that? It changes. So we need to upgrade ourselves, update ourselves, and every day a new learning that whatever is today is not, we are not doing it for tomorrow, but we are making a base for tomorrow so that any changes are there. We have a foundation here to get adapted to that change. The education to be that.
Agreed.
Making the children future ready.
Yeah.
Future ready.
Yes.
We are not giving them life now. We are preparing them for the future life.
Yes.
True.
Yeah, that was,
I would like to add,
that was really nice.
Yeah.
We are running short of time, so I would request you to quickly just close it in 30
Thank you, ma'am.
seconds.
Urvashi ma'am, here I would like to add.
I'm bad.
Urvashi ma'am, here I would like to add, the change in pedagogies as I was talking about. So we should have conceptual understanding. The child should be made to understand the concepts, then helping them to learn how to learn. That is, as ma'am, you spoke about the multiple intelligence, but here I would say multiple technologies we should give them.
Absolutely.
Keep them.
I agree with you. I agree.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to be a spoiler, but that's my job. I think very smartly, School News has told me to, that's why they call me super moderator. So I'm sorry. So Urvashi, you took the discussion to a very interesting point, and I love the concept where, Mr. Ramesh came up and said schools, you asked whether schools should exist or no. So I'm going to take just 30 seconds. After 30 years, I do not think schools will exist, but they will become social centers.
Absolutely.
They will become where children will just go for social skills, because my daughter, who's just had a daughter, she says, I don't think so I can send my kid to school because I can teach her so much more at home. So the concept is changing. So I think teachers, don't worry. Thank you all so much for a very interesting discussion, and my heartfelt thanks to you, Urvashi, for moderating and putting up such interesting questions. And we'll see you all in the summary section, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Again, a warm welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
So a warm welcome to whoever has joined now. And again, a warm welcome from School News, Mad About Ed, and Samarth, Star Teachers Training Academy for Research, which very, very Samarth Teachers Training, we call it STAR. So very, very interesting topic for the next session. It's my curation versus creation, content creation versus content curation, which is more effective. And before I pass on the mic to the moderator, the amount of information which is accessible at a click, and the dilemma that teachers face is the choice between content creation and content curation. Which one shall be more effective? There is no one size which fits all kind of a solution. Each learning, each teaching situation is unique. What is needed is the discretion to know which one to opt for in a situation, content creation or curation. In very simple terms, content creation is where you create content right from the scratch, try and think, spend number of hours trying to work on it. But content curation is where you're a smart educator, we take the best practices and create something. So it's going to be, I am just looking forward to this discussion because I know it is really an exciting topic. And I pass on the baton to our moderator for the second session, Dr. Kavisha Khurana-Vich, who's the director with the Chintal School, Kanpur. And accompanying her, the speakers will be Ms. Indu Yadav, Ms. Nikita Kothari, Mr. Nishesh Kumar Sinha. Hi, Nishesh. What a pleasure to see you here. And Ms. Nishi Singh. A very, very warm welcome to all of you and all mic and everything to you, Dr. Kavisha. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalini ma'am. Indeed, it's a very, very interesting topic with a lot of mind-blogging and a lot of mind-boggling going on. Good evening, all the educators who are listening to us, who are seeing us. I'm very, very privileged to share the panel with esteemed speakers. Thank you, School News, especially Ravi and Kritika, for giving us all this opportunity. So on the panel today, we have Ms. Nishi Singh. She's the principal of Millennium World School, Patna. She's in the field of education from 20 years. She believes that good teachers are the teachers who grow with the students. Over the years, Ms. Singh have inhabited different leadership roles, from being the head of the department to the founder principal of the Millennium World School. Ms. Singh is a poet at heart, and she loves to write poetry both in Hindi and English. Welcome, ma'am. Our next speaker is Ms. Nikita Kothari, Principal Arunodaya Public School, Thane. Do we have, yeah, we have Nikita, ma'am. Principal Arunodaya Public School, Thane. She's a passionate educator who has been in the field of education from past 2 decades. She has been recipient of many awards. She's instrumental in setting up many ACE schools. She's also a writer who writes for magazines and educational portal. Ms. Kothari is loved by her students, parents, and teachers alike. Next, I would like to introduce you all to Ms. Indu Yadav, Principal, Lotus Valley International School, Noida Extension. She has been in the field of education over 3 decades now. She has also traveled across the globe to inculcate best educational practices. She feels though time has changed, but a child still requires what she required decades back: to be loved, to be cared for, and feel accepted. Ms. Yadav is a principal who leads by example and leads from the front. A voracious reader of English literature, her pilgrimage visit was Stratford upon Avon, and feels there's so much to learn from the Bard which can be implemented even in today's time. And now, coming to the topic. Content curation and content creation, the new millennia coined term. Though in designing our course, we most likely already engage in a mix of content creation and the content curation. A content creation is when we create our own materials from the scratch, from syllabi to presentations, from assignments and assessments. We become a one-stop education machine. While content curation is when we educators carefully examine resources that have already been developed, making thoughtful use of the existing content where it is suitable for the particular class. But curation, mind you, is not just a copy-paste. It's a strategy to be used by the teachers in accordance to the prudence of the child and themselves. So now I'll pass on the baton to Nishi ma'am, asking her the first question, to Nikita ma'am, asking her the first question that, ma'am, you have had experience of so many years, and what do you think is content creation? How do you create contents for your school? Nikita ma'am? Is off, ma'am.
EdTalks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. A topic for the day is changes in school and teachers' recruitment system under the new education policy. And to express their viewpoints on the same, we have with us Mrs. Sharma, Dean Activity.
Nikita ma'am,
Nikita ma'am, are you there?
Nikita ma'am, you may have to, I think, rejoin because I believe there is some kind of a app-related issue. Maybe, Kavisha ma'am, you could please start with the next panelist, please. I'll ask Kritika to check with Nikita ma'am and help her out.
Okay. So my next question goes to Nishi ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Nishi ma'am, there is so much of content available online. I'm sure your teachers also must be making so much of content. What strategies do you use to curate that content?
Definitely, ma'am. First of all, very good afternoon to all the viewers, and big thank you to School News for arranging this platform and giving us an opportunity to talk to a larger audience. So thank you so much. Now, today's topic that we have been discussing, and also prior to us, there has been a panel of discussion on what kind of instructional materials we are using at the moment, and what kind of different instructional material that is available to us. So the question of content creation and curation, probably I can say, is going hand in hand. So because certainly we have a content created by the board that in which we fall, and certainly there are so many different ways of so many different instructional methods and ways which are available for a teacher. So one has to curate between these available materials and decide for oneself and for one school that which is the best and what is going to give the best result for the school. Because as we have also seen in the previous panel, that we are also talking about a new situation. This new situation in pandemic actually has dissolved the geographical barriers that we have faced previously. And even we believe that education, knowledge is not basically bound in terms of a geographical position or in terms of a geographically placed educator. So knowledge can be sought and is available everywhere. And this pandemic time has actually given us a huge plethora of choices, and has also brought together a lot of creativity. It has created a lot of, it has brought together a lot of creativity through communication and a lot of choice. So today, when we are talking in the new normal, and previously in the panel, we also discussed about that we are in the process of learn, unlearn, and relearn. So situations are that we had to learn and we had to create a content which was suitable when we went for a virtual mode of education. So we learned, and here technology helped us to breach this divide. So that was there. And now that we have going back to the system of physical school, then maybe we have to, again, with the large plethora that we have in terms of instructional material and content, we have to curate back by unlearning and relearning our own systems and practices. And most important, the question I think today all educators should dwell upon is that first of all, we have to, in the present situation, understand the learning gaps that we are seeing in children. Because this 1 month of schooling has given us an experience that there are so many things which children have to learn again. The art of writing, maybe the vocabulary is intact, the talking, children talking skills have gone up, but the writing skills have gone down, and the handwriting has kind of needs a kind of a push. And when we have gone back to a system from which we had deviated or used another system, so a lot of introspection and short time feedback is required in order to design a kind of or you can say curate a system which is most suitable to the needs of the children. There are times now that a teacher has to be equipped not only with the skills to teach, but also a kind of a spirit of empathy in order to deal with the emotional psychology or emotional environment of the children that they are in. So basically, this is if we say that if it is a VUCA world, then we have to take decisions. We have to look into feedbacks. We have to curate our materials according to the situations. Or if we only believe in content creation, then which is not in sync with the children and the situations, then that education or that curation or that content will not be useful.
Very well said, Nishi ma'am, that we need to redesign now the content which is there and how you curate it, even meeting the emotional needs and the psychological need of the child, which many educators miss out. They are mostly in the race, a rat race, which every child wants to ace, not thinking, not the child, in fact, I would say the parents wants to ace every child the child goes in, not thinking about the emotional aspect of the child. So your content, even if you create or you curate, that also should need somewhere or the other the psychological needs of the child. Very well said, Nishima. I'll pass on the baton now to Indu ma'am. Indu ma'am, when we weigh both the things, content creation and content curation, and with so much of content available online, it's just a click away. How do you weigh that? Which side is heavier, the curation or the creator?
Okay, first of all, good evening, everyone. And thank you, School News, Mr. Zatlani, Mr. Vinay, and Kritika for having this discussion. And I'm really very happy and privileged to be a part of this discussion. And thank you very much for Dr. Vij for asking this question. So before I say anything, I'd like to kind of, take you back to my school days. Okay, so when I talk about my school days, probably, some of you may not really be able to identify with me, when I talk about my school days, because you might be a couple of generations younger. So I remember, when we went to school, at that time, our textbooks and libraries were the only sources of information and knowledge. Apart from these two, we used to have our so-called reference books, which our teachers used to recommend. For mathematics and science, it was R.D. Sharma or R.S. Agarwal. For English, we used to fall back upon Reader's Digest. And even, for sciences, we used to have Science Digest. And these were the repositories of knowledge, so to say. And at that time, the main objective of going to school used to be, score good marks, do well in the examinations, score good marks, all right? Because, that was required for one to be, that was assumed that these were the only things required to be successful in life. Now, when we look at the education system today, I think many things have changed. The entire landscape is different now. All of you might like to agree with me when I say that today we want to convert our classrooms into bastions of creativity and wonder, don't we? We want our children to be equipped with the 21st century skills, whether it's creativity or collaboration or critical thinking or communication skills, right? We want that our children should be equipped with these skills. I was listening to the panelists in the previous session, and one panelist, I think, answered this question beautifully, that how do we see, the education 30 years from now or 20 years from now? So the answer was that we need to kind of prepare them for a future, which is uncertain, right? And what can we do to prepare them for that future? So the only thing that we can do is to give them the adequate skill sets. So the skills which I spoke about, I think there are many, many more skills and competencies, that the CBSE now talks about. So all of us are looking at education landscape in with a very, very different lens. All right. So in this kind of landscape, do we really just want libraries and textbooks to support our vision and what we are looking at? I don't think that's right. Even if we want to do that, I think there are a lot of resources which are available. There are, open learning resources which anyone can have access to. There are MOOC courses, etc., etc. There are podcasts, there are videos, there are interviews, and you have Khan Academy, and I think the works. I would say. I mean, I would love to be a student, in today's time. And I really feel so exciting, such an exciting time to be a student. Now, in this exciting time, when there is so much content which is available, I'd like to quote a figure here, which is quoted by IBM. It says that last decade, of course, all of us know that there's been a lot of online content which has been made available. Last 2 years have been phenomenal in terms of the changes which have happened in the educational landscape. So IBM quotes that in the last 2 years, 90% of the online content has been created. All right. So now in this context, is it possible for us to absorb all the content which has been created? So how do we really ensure that the resources that we have available, which were not available when we went to school, how do we make best use of those resources? Here comes content curation, wherein as educators, we curate the resources, we sift and filter the resources and try and organize them as per themes and try and make sense out of those resources and put them together so that somebody can make use of them. And in fact, in the last 2 years, we all have made use of these curated resources, right? So now, when we talk about, Kavisha, coming to your question, when we talk about content creation versus content curation, why should there be, according to me, versus? There is no competition. There is no comparison. They are not really mutually exclusive. They can coexist, right? So, just to kind of, in the interest of time, I'll keep it short. So when we talk about curation and creation, somehow, we have equated content creation with some kind of, very high-flying, imaginative kind of a word, wherein we feel that, okay, content creation is that somebody is going to whip out, something exclusively new and offbeat, from the thin air, which does not really happen. right? Everything, even content creation, has to be dependent on something, some resources, right? And if these resources are curated resources, I think, that's really wonderful. So I have a small analogy for this. So it's like, we go to a store, okay? This store sells exotic vegetables, okay? So the store person, he's made sure that there are exotic vegetables from all around the world, right? And we go and buy them, bring them home. Now, what do we do with those vegetables? They are absolutely exclusive. Now, if we put them together and make a dish or a salad, so that's our creation, right? So those vegetables were curated, and what we've done with them is creation. So they cannot really be mutually exclusive. They can coexist. So over to you, Kavisha, and you can take it further.
Yeah, Induma very well said that they both go hand in hand. We cannot separate it. It's like creation is like, you have to reach the destination, but curation shows you the path. And until and unless you have a pathway, you can't reach the destination. So, and Induma, you also said that you want to be a student today. Don't you think students today have a lot more pressure than what we had when we were young?
I think it's a beautiful time, to be a student, because, the kind of opportunities one has to learn. And, we are talking about letting students co-construct their knowledge and learning, right? And how does that happen? That happens, when students are learning, teachers are learning, right? So for example, if there is a topic and the teacher provides, or students themselves, find out a blog on the same topic, right? And they go through that blog and they make annotations, they add their own viewpoint, so there's so much critical thinking, which is happening here. So, I mean, I would love to be a student, today, because the kind of platforms which are available and the way we are looking at education today, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I would love to be a student now.
Absolutely. I hope everybody wants to be a student. We all want to be young again, be children, be youngsters, be teenagers again. And luckily, we all have the platform because we can be with them. So if not physically, but at heart, we are always young because we are in the field of education. And I know everybody would agree to me on that note. We have Miss Kothari now. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, good evening, Kavisha.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening. Good to see you, ma'am. Ma'am, I would like to ask you a question that you've established many schools. How has the content creation changed over the years? And in your school or your previous schools, how do you create content?
A very good question. First of all, let me thank EdFriday, Raviji, you for calling me on the panel. You're doing a wonderful work. And see, now we are on Zoom, correct? I'm going to take this as example and answer your question. Now imagine our days, my days, this was not available. We had to go to school and the content was a textbook, mere textbook, where that era, the education was teacher-centric. Teacher with a blackboard, and we were all focusing on the blackboard. Now I'm going back to my class. Those days, I always used to sit on the first benches. I was among those first benches. Some children were backbenchers. Some children were always scolded. Some children were definitely given a scolding and sometimes scale also. So those were the days. And now I compare these days where we are talking to each other on Zoom, mobile, different devices like laptops. Now education is global. If I want to learn anything, I can go global. I want to learn Chinese, I can go global. The content is there on YouTube. But earlier those days, like I have written on the chat box also, ma'am just said that she wants to be a student again, because these days we are in 21st century. There are ample of opportunities available. The content is here. Earlier, we were only using our eyes and ears, whatever teacher was teaching. But now your visual, audio, your skin, learning by doing things. See, the content is the same, but how you are teaching. Now, coming back to the topic, we are talking about content creation, content curation, correct? Versus that. And ma'am explained in a very well way that it is not a different thing. It is one and the same thing. We should not talk about verses. But yeah, we can compare what was in that era and what mistakes, not mistakes, we can do corrections and what we can do better. Now, when we cut, we talk about that 40 minutes of our classroom teaching, which can change the whole life of a child. You can make the content very, very interesting by making your lesson, by planning your lesson plan, very interesting. Otherwise, you can make it boring. It depends. See, your class, as I just mentioned that my class, I used to sit in front rows, some would sit in back rows, but now the teacher has all the equipments, all the tools to engage the student in such a way that she is curating all the students. The content is there with her, but she has to keep everyone engaged, each and everyone engaged. There would be some toppers in the class, some average students in the class, and some who would need some help of the teacher. So this is how she's going to, for example, if I talk about history class, going back that era, if you're teaching Harappa civilization, Mohenjo-daro, so with today's technology, we can show audio visual, we can create curiosity. Like for example, some days back we got CBSE got a circular about safe soil movement. Sadhguru is doing safe soil movement. How can we bring that curiosity among the students? How can we teach the content? Because see, earlier the content was there, but when it comes to us, we were late to understand and we were late to implement it. But now when you talk to a 4th grade child and when you talk about mother soil, mother earth, the child understands in a better way. So this is content creation and content curation, bringing together, bringing that empathy, bringing that awareness, feeling that water is also very precious. We need to save it. Our mother nature, we need to ensure that we have to save it. We have to protect it. And as you know, however, whatever you do, whatever we are teaching, it should be brought to day in and day out life. See, when we talk about waste, when we talk about that time, we knew that it is not good. We should not use plastics, all that stuff, correct? But now more awareness with new technology. You getting me? So this is the difference. And even I'm a student right now. We will always be students. We are lifelong learners. Learning is a continuous process. So we never can say that, you know, this much knowledge and I am done with it. No. Even now, when in the last session, sir said that he saw one granny who was there in one online classes. It's such a vibrant class. Imagine how it would be. And so much of experience to share, isn't it? So this is my answer, that content creation has to be merged with content curation, and we need to we as educators, we as facilitators, we need to be very creative, very innovative in our classroom, and we should ensure that this whatever content is, that how creative we can become, how innovative we can become, how can we develop the curiosity, what kind of set induction questions are we going to ask, and how feedback we will take, and how it is brought into our day in and day out life, and make that child a human being, a good citizen, not a greedy one. not a cruel one, not the one who can harm, but who has empathy, moral values as well. I hope you will. I hope my emotions are getting to you. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say.
I think all the listeners, the audience, everybody can get through what you've said, ma'am. And even Indu ma'am said that we all want our classroom bubbling with creativity, innovation. Nishi ma'am, I would take forward the question from what Nikita ma'am just said, that we need to build empathy. How do we build empathy? How can you build empathy when you create the content or curate the content?
I think empathy is a very generic for a educator. And empathy is something which you have or you do not. Having said that, I think we sort of kind of curate it if we do not have the content of empathy. And this empathy comes out, is curated in a teacher or an individual with a lot of learning that takes place, with a lot of observation and with a lot of intuition, which might be there, or it might be somehow or the other. You need to work on being intuitive, because if I may say so, ma'am, I think nobody designs to be a teacher or educator. We somehow or the other learn to be, and no great teachers are born overnight. We learn to be great teachers, and this we learn rather we curate it in ourselves, or create it in ourselves with a lot of introspection, a lot of observation, and a lot of reading also, you can say, and also with the idea that yes, you want to see the smile on the child, on the face of the child or not. The moment you decide to be a teacher, first and foremost is that I feel one should feel that, do you enjoy work, being a teacher? And if you enjoy being a teacher, that is the best answer that can be to create that intuition of empathy in you. Because when you enjoy doing a work, or you enjoy a responsibility, then actually you feel that you are not working at all. So, and when you are not working at all, then you feel a lot of passion towards it, and passion to be to deliver, to be understood, and to be able to kind of make the content understood to the child. I think empathy can be curated or created in terms of being a teacher or being an educator. So with a lot of passion and with a lot of liking of what you're doing, you can be empathetic, and you need to, because to be an empathetic, there's a big difference being empathetic or being sympathetic. Sympathy has a kind of a sense of lack of dignity. I'm sorry, there's a electrical, somehow there's some kind of electrical disturbance going on in the house. So what I was trying to say is that empathy has a lot of dignity in that, in the way you look at things and look at the needs of the children or an individual. Whereas what I feel is that when you sympathize, it is devoid of little dignity that you are supposed to give to an individual. So that is the thin divide, and that is why initially I said that empathy is something that you have in your attitude or you do not have. So that is how I will answer to your question.
Love her job, his job, and that is how they can empathize with each other. I can see Indu ma'am raising her hand, and I have a question for Indu ma'am as well. Indu ma'am, you can continue. One of, I'm just reading the chat box. So one of the person had written, one of the attendees have written that earlier teacher had good control over the content. She was a sage on stage. What do you have to comment on it? The teacher was a sage on stage. What about now, Indu ma'am?
Now,
So,
guide by the
as
side.
I said earlier, okay. So as I said earlier, we felt that knowledge and information, these were the only things, that we were looking at, when we talked about education, right? And the resources were limited, libraries and textbooks. So, which is why the teacher, when she was teaching, she used to teach in the classes, she used to give information to children, right? Now we have Google, we have so many other sources of information. So earlier, teachers were, as you rightly said, they were supposed to be sages on stage, right? Now the scenario is different, so I'll complete this edit. It says, teacher used to be a sage on stage. Now she's a guide by a student's side, right? So now the job of a teacher is not really to give information, so a teacher has to help students co-construct their learning, as I said earlier. Now, to add on to what the question that you had asked from the previous panelist about empathy. Now, I'd like to again give one example here. So when we are talking about building empathy in children, all right, so lecture may not really get across to children. We may give them umpteen number of lectures, talk about, good things, how empathy, you should be empathetic, etc., etc. Now, when we are talking about content creation or content curation, let's say, let's look at content curation. Okay, so here we get views of different people across the globe, okay, on a certain topic. Let's say, let's take the contemporary topic of war between Russia and Ukraine. All right. So we want to understand, we want our children to understand the repercussions of wars, right? How do we make them empathetic? All right. And how do we not really become a sage on stage? How do we become guides by their sides? So we can always tell them to read, different blogs written by, or maybe we can, along with our students, we can curate those blogs. We can have certain videos, we can have, views from across the globe on the existing war, and tell our children, to add on, and to ask them, what do they think about it, and give your opinions. So what we are doing is we are not really giving them information. We are not really becoming the repository of knowledge. What we are doing is we are just assisting them in their journey of self-discovery. We are assisting them on their path to understanding and empathizing with what is happening in Ukraine and Russia. I hope that answers your question.
Can I just add one more thing, Kedu ma'am?
Yes, Visakha ma'am.
Just adding one more sentence. We are just being facilitators. The content is there to bring in empathy, to make them a good citizen with lot of debates, extempore, and we are just trying to make them aware of things, isn't it? Being facilitating, mentoring, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think Nishi ma'am also has something to say. She's raised
Yeah,
her
ma'am. I just wanted to add to what ma'am was saying earlier. Is that like when we are teaching, say, for example, we are teaching, earlier we had also on the panel, people were talking about thematic teaching. Like supposing if we are talking about this war, then I think in an English class, there should be a discussion. How do you feel about this war? Then probably in the social science class, geography class, there should be a discussion that where is this war taking place, which are the countries, and what is the background. A political background can be discussed in the political science class, and a history class should discuss that, okay, give the children some assignment where you let them learn and read for themselves that what is the background under which they are actually fighting, these two countries are fighting. So when we do let them explore and find out for themselves, and then we give them an extrapolatory question that how do you feel in the present situation if, say, for example, so-and-so country was in war with your country. So what we are doing is that we are actually training our children to think and to give to think by giving them an extrapolatory situation where they will use their understanding and the methods that they have applied in terms of gaining their content, and they have created their content, and that can be the answer. So that way, from sage on the stage, we have guided them to we have become a guide by the side, and at the same time we have also kind of helped them to explore the various instructional medium that is available to the children. So that is how we are creating lifelong learners, and that is what the objective of education should be.
Absolutely, ma'am. All of us agree here that we need to be lifelong learners and we need to build lifelong learners for their future. Indu, ma'am, I would come to you. Mr. Sami in the chat box has asked that these days children are no more children as we call them. They are losing out on morals and empathy and stuff like that. Who is responsible for it and how can we develop it?
There are a lot of factors which come into play, when we talk about how children learn and where do they learn from. Somehow, it was, I think we go wrong when we say that children learn only when the teacher teaches, in the classroom. Children learn from everywhere, whether it's their home, their surroundings, their friends, their school, the corridors of the school, the playground of the school, kitchen in the house, wherever. So children are learning everywhere. They are learning from everywhere. Now, when we talk about the society, not really kind of giving importance to values. Well, everything is chalta hai, everything is acceptable, and parents also, I think somewhere we as parents are also responsible. Well, it's important, that the child is the center of our universe. But at the same time, the child has to be told that everybody else around is equally important. Everybody else deserves as much respect as the parents give, right? So if there is lack of values or morals in children today, I think it's a collective responsibility of the society. We can't really say that parents are falling short, they are failing in their duties, or teachers are failing in their duties. I think it's a collective failure, if at all, we feel that morals and values are missing. I may not really agree with Mr. Sami. I have a lot of respect, for this generation. I feel they are amazing at doing things that they do, which is why I'm repeating myself, when I say that I'd like to be a student, I'd like to be a part of this generation, because the way they handle the kind of expectations that everybody has of them, and the way they are, finding solutions also, and the way they are, the kind of confidence that they exude, it's absolutely amazing. So wherever they are falling short, I think it's not them, it's us who are falling short.
Yes, so we have accept our mistakes. It's not a mistake rather, but as ma'am said, it's the collective society where the child is moving, where the child is going, develops everything what is around him, and that is what makes a child a senior. Ma'am, there's one more question which have just come up. I would like Nikita ma'am to answer it. The question is from Anupam Pandey-ji, that we should, does any content has something like cultural heritage in our teachings? Students learn a lot via cultural heritage. Your views on it?
Yeah, I will answer this question adding to what Indu ma'am said earlier. See, culture is the base of our India. And culture starts from family. Now, when we talk about family and when we talk about empathy and morals not being taught properly to the child, why don't we see empathy in today's child? The child is born in a family. Earlier, when we really go deep into the topic, earlier there were joint families. Now we have nuclear families. Earlier, the children were together. The grannies used to stay together. So grannies, grandpas, chachis, mamas, everyone would stay together, and the culture was brought in. The root culture, like, how our things are happening, your language. Nowadays, children don't know their language, the regional language, if you see. So this is very important, where we start from and then where the child comes to school. Yes, it is a collective responsibility of school as well, but together we can. And history is to be taught. Our culture has to be taught. And that's the reason, why this NEP has come up. This NEP will bring back to our roots, make us more stronger. And wherever the child is interested, like NEP will give wings to the child. And I feel, the parents also are responsible. I'll differ a little bit with Indu ma'am here, because when the parents, we teach everything. We try to teach everything. The books gives you everything. We try to teach out everything. But why the child doesn't take what we are teaching? Why that empathy does not reach? Why there is bullying happening? It is because somewhere down the line, the family has to understand that he has to reach out to the child. Sometimes we make it very convenient. We provide the child everything with his or her needs. We substitute to their physical or emotional needs. We provide the child everything, but we don't have time. The child is with maids. Have you ever thought of it? What is actually going wrong in the society? Where we were, where we are, the technology and all is all boom. AI is coming up, augmented reality is coming up. We are talking to each other. We are talking all big things. We want to change the world. But the touch, emotion, where are they? Why empathy is lacking? Because at home, when we do not treat our parents properly, we teach them in books. But when
beautifully said, Ms. Nikita. I'm a party spoiler. That's the task given to me. And just so sorry, but very beautifully said, Ms. Nikita. I mean, empathy is so important. And, I really want to thank Dr. Kavisha for asking such wonderful questions. And these are topics very close to every teacher's heart. And I loved what Indu spoke about that, I loved her statement when she said, we respect teachers. I mean, I jumped from an airlines job to a teaching, and I think I'll be born again and again to become a teacher, the best profession in the world. And I think if we respect ourselves, everybody will respect us. So beautiful session. And thank you all so much, because we're going to now jump into the summary session with our two moderators. So all the best. God bless you all. And thank you so much.
And I would just say one line about Kavisha ma'am. I really like the way she said that she really respects this new generation. I believe Kavisha ma'am or Indu ma'am, I really have high regards for this. Because most of the time we actually do not respect the new generation, but we expect them to respect.
Yeah, and Nikita ma'am, if you ask me my viewpoint, I think we teach everything in the school except the value system. We don't teach children that if you find, we talk about environment. We have environment clubs in the school, but we don't tell a child that when you're walking, you find something, just pick it up and throw it. So, because it's not our fault, it's not anybody's fault, it's the way our education system has been, So it is extremely important that we change where we are going to, because I think one thing which is very important in a school is the teacher. And I always feel that the organization structure of a school should be like this, with the teacher at the top, because without a teacher, the school cannot run. And when somebody was talking about, parental pressure, I read there's a question. We don't go to a doctor and say, I'm sick and I need, I'm going to tell you what medicine to give me. We trust the doctor. So same way, when a parent comes to us, which happens in every school, and tells us, this is the way you should teach, I think we need to teach our teachers to be confident, to be able to say, listen, I am a professional. I'm here to teach the kids, but I don't know how to teach a parent, because I don't think so any of the B.Ed courses covers that. So teachers, we are all with you, and these kind of workshops and seminars, when you attend, you will get so much of confidence to be able to face, the biggest thing which a teacher faces is the parent, right? So don't worry, we are all there. And thank you so much to all of you, and God bless you all. And we'll now move on to the summary session with Dr. Kavisha and Miss Urvashi. So I'll request Miss Urvashi if we can have your camera on.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and very beautifully moderated by the both of you. And I think amazing points, a lot of good learning for the teachers who are here. So definitely, let's try and collate what we learned in the first session. So Ms. Urvashi, I'll pass on to you first.
Yes. So I think we'll wait for the PPT to come up. So
okay.
Yes, there it is. So I think a lot of points were good points came up during the talk, and very important points. So there have been a lot of good takeaways, but I think what really was, yes, we all agree it's a technology-driven blended pedagogy. There is no doubt about that. And also that the teachers and the students now need to get tech savvy, because this seems to be the future, and the future which is here to stay. So it is very important that all of us, gather and get into training ourselves with the latest in technology. And again, the blurred boundaries, because of technology, majorly, the boundaries between the teacher and the taught are now blurred. Or as Mr. Rakesh, said, Chukkapalli said that they're now huge. The boundaries have gone further away, or probably they've just fallen off, because today the teacher is as much a pupil as the pupil himself, because even she is exploring and learning and adapting herself to the new ways of teaching, and ends up learning a lot more than what she knew in the process of teaching the student today. So this is also one of the outcomes of our new age teaching technologies. Then teacher training came out to be of paramount importance for effective implementation of new age instruction systems, because whenever something new is brought out, obviously every time there will be teething problems. It takes time, no doubt, for everybody to get into the groove. So for that, teacher training is of paramount importance. And yes, Central Board of Secondary Education has launched an immense and a massive drive for training teachers, and a lot of good trainings are happening done by other educational organizations like School News. Also, they also run fantastic training programs, and it is of paramount importance, because that is going to get the teacher's thought process on the right direction. It will help the teacher to plan the new age instruction systems in an organized manner. And when the planning is good, we all know that's when effective implementation happens. And along with that, orientation of the parents, keeping them abreast with whatever changes are happening so fast in the field of education, that is of paramount importance, because if they don't understand, they make things more difficult. And of course, field of education has expanded from the confines of books and has gone beyond books. It has turned experiential. It is connecting us to nature and to the community at large. Because if that doesn't happen, again, education, teaching can never be contextual. And I think if teaching is not contextual, the learning is not imbibed by a student. Especially nature, because what Mr. Rakesh Chukkapalli said was so true that today if you ask a 6-year-old child, where does she or he get the milk that he drinks from, they say from a grocery store. So that connect is missing. It's important to get them out there and take them beyond the books. So,
absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Urvashi. It was really nice how you summed it up. And there was a lot of learning, of course, because teaching today has to be different. We all talk about collaboration. We all talk about problem solving. And I just want to add a line. I think when I went to school, we didn't know these terms, but they definitely existed. I'm not going to tell you which year, you'll know my age. So yeah, but it did exist at that time, because I don't remember my mother ever coming to my school and asking, what's the homework? You know, so the school did its job, where the school taught us, and the parents did their job by giving us the life skills. And I think we turned out pretty fine, our generation. So what is very important is that when we are teaching them math, we need to tell the child that why are we teaching you math? What is its usefulness? And I think that is sometimes missing, that's why when you ask a child, why are you studying? He says to pass an exam, which is not correct. So thank you so much, Ms. Urvashi. And yeah, let's move on to you, Dr. Kavisha, for your excellent, enriching session.
Thank you so much, Shalini ma'am. I'll, till the time the PPT shared, my first takeaway was it was said by one of my panelists only. I was lucky enough to have a great panel speakers with me who understood my point and took it forward very well. So thank you, the speakers. So the first takeaway was that we need to redesign the curriculum in such a way that it also meets not only the needs of the child when it comes to curriculum, but also the psychologically and emotional needs of the child. That is how the content should be created. And when we look on the internet, it should be curated in the same way. The second takeaway was what Indu ma'am said, that content creation versus content curation. There's no versus in it. It goes hand in hand. They cannot be segregated. When we wait, they're both equal. If you do not have a good content, you can't curate it well. And even if you have the best content in the world and you're not able to deliver it well, then there's no point of the good content. So it both needs to go hand in hand. The next very important point is that whatever our content is, whether it's curation or creation, they both should require to build curiosity. Children should learn by doing and not just mugging up things. They should not be termed as Rattu Tota, but the learners, lifelong learners. And it's a collective responsibility, as Indu ma'am said, to raise good citizens. And a classroom should be bubbling with energy, wonder, critical thinking, happiness. In the end, I feel happiness is one thing that ensures learning a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not mentioned here, but yes, we love our profession, we love our teachers, and we respect this generation. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dr. Kavisha. That was really beautiful. And yeah, I mean, you're telling me, I've always believed a happy school is what makes a difference and makes learning much more impactful. And as you said about, the takeaways, creating a collaborative culture, there is wonder in every classroom. There needs to be a passion. I always tell people, don't become a teacher if you don't love kids. Don't think it's a half-day job. It's a 24/7 job, because you are dealing with somebody's kid. And it is extremely important that we give our total self. We are, it's not just for an interview's sake. We say that we are very passionate teachers. Okay, how does your passion flow out of the window after a month of being in a class? So teachers need to really reassess themselves, because teaching is something which is, honestly speaking, a very noble profession. And start respecting yourself. Even now, give yourself a big pat at the back. Parent or no parent, let's take it up. We know what we teach and we are professionals. And I think it was really nice. So before I end, I want to talk a little bit, and then I'll hand over to one of my colleagues from STAR, Samarthya Teachers Training Academy. As we all spoke, the way to making a change is the professional development of the teachers. So the Future Learning Systems by STAR, they have organized a 1-week a very enriching program. I mean, I'm very excited, and every day I look at my watch, when is it starting? I mean, so I'll hand over to Khushbu. But before I do that, thank you all so much. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Vinay. And thank you, all the entire entire School News team and all the panelists and the moderator. God bless you. Love you all. Thank you so much. Over to you, Khushbu.
Thank you, Shalini ma'am. And good evening, everybody. I'm Khushbu from Samarthya Teachers Training Academy of Research, popularly known as STAR. And I'm going to tell you something very exciting. Now, well, during the last 2 hours, we've been discussing so much about so many important topics and components of education. Like we talked about content creation, curation. We explored strategies on new age instructional systems. But have we ever wondered, what do these components actually lead to? What do they indicate? All these indicate that we are progressing towards future learning systems. And ladies and gentlemen, in order to apprise you more about future of education, STAR is going to launch a week-long professional development program called Future Learning Systems in collaboration with 2 global partners, the Weaving Lab and the Global Education Futures. Now, what is this program going to entail? It's going to cover various important aspects like new age pedagogical innovations, instructional and assessment strategies, anytime, anywhere learning, research, innovation, NEP, and much, much more. The best part about the program is that it's going to bring together a global community of experts. As program facilitators, we have people like Director of the University of Melbourne, former Director, Global World Skills, President of Global Education Futures, Director of Symbiosis Pune, Shivnada University, and so on. These are just a few names. So what are the key benefits of the program? What are the participants going to learn? All educators, everybody like us we are going to inculcate some futuristic skills and competencies. We are going to learn the role of new age technologies, new age strategies for student engagement, co-creation, and much more. So, ladies and gentlemen, the dates are May 23rd till May 27. And in order to know more about the program and in order to register for it, please log on to star.in. The details are also being flashed in the chat box. So I, on behalf of STAR, invite all the educators, teachers, directors, HODs, coordinators, everybody like you and me to attend the program, to learn and stay abreast about the emerging trends in the future of education. Thank you, and over to you, Shalini ma'am.
Thank you so much, Khushbu, and yeah, we all look forward to it. And I think there was a lot of learning, and being from the army background, sharp at 5, my Cinderella shoes are going to change. So thank you all and love you all and have a great evening. God bless you all. Thank you.
Bless you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.